tops $120 a barrel, and Egypt will soon be home to the world's 6th largest high-speed rail system. You're watching the Daily Brief with Forbes. I'm Ramia Faraj. Oil prices rose to a 2-month high this morning as China eases its antivirus lockdowns and the EU works on its plan to ban imports of Russian crude. Brent topped $120 a barrel. Shanghai allowed all manufacturers to resume operations from June, and officials say Beijing's COVID outbreak is under control. Brent crude is on course for a 6th straight monthly climb that would be the longest such run in more than a decade. Asian stocks tracked Wall Street higher today as investors contemplate an eventual slowdown in U.S. monetary tightening despite sharp hikes in June and July. Helping to mellow the mood is the news today that Shanghai will cancel many conditions for businesses to resume work from Wednesday, easing a citywide lockdown that began 2 months ago. The Memorial Day holiday in the U.S. today could make for a thin session, but MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan still climbed 1.2% to a 3-week high. Egypt will soon host the world's 6th largest high-speed rail system. Egypt has signed a contract with Siemens Rail and Traffic Unit and its consortium partners to build about 2,000 kilometers of high-speed railways. The deal is between Egypt's National Authority for Tunnels and a consortium of Siemens Mobility, Orascom Construction, and Arab contractors. Siemens says its share in the project is worth $8.69 billion. Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund ADQ will allocate $10 billion in investment for projects with Egypt and Jordan. Officials say the investments will focus on agriculture, pharmaceuticals, minerals, petrochemicals, and textiles. The UAE, Egypt, and Jordan also aim to boost manufacturing capabilities in the steel, aluminum, and derivative sectors. The three nations' industrial capacity represent a combined 26% of the total of the MENA region. Dubai's house prices are set to rise steadily over the next 2 years, driven by demand from foreign investors. That's according to a Reuters poll of 13 property market analysts, which showed a median rise of 7.5% in Dubai house prices in 2022. That's unchanged from the previous poll taken 2 months ago. Analysts say market sentiment lifted by the pandemic easing, coupled with hosting Expo 2020 and the reopening of travel corridors, continues to underpin the market's rebound. Qatar's GDP should grow 3.5% this year, according to its central bank. The figure is in line with an earlier forecast by Fitch that Qatar would grow 3.2% this year from 1.6% in 2021. It reflects higher output from the FIFA World Cup, which is scheduled for November. Qatar is foreseeing a $20 billion boost to the economy from the World Cup. Meanwhile, Qatar's exports jumped in April to $11.6 billion. Zain KSA says it's received approval for Zain Business to acquire at least 8,069 of its telecom tower sites. The Public Investment Fund, Prince Saud bin Fahd bin Abdulaziz, and Sultan Holding were said to be acquiring Zain KSA's tower infrastructure in February for $807 million. The PIF would take a 60% stake, while Prince Saud and Sultan Holding would each take 10%, and the remaining 20% would be owned by Zain KSA. To Europe, where Germany's government and conservative opposition have agreed a deal that will release $107 billion to modernize the army in the face of the Russian threat. An agreement was reached late last night to create a special fund for military procurement that will also allow Berlin to achieve NATO's target of spending 2% of GDP on defense. The deal involves amending budgetary rules in the national constitution. Serbia has secured a new long-term contract with Russia to ensure it has sufficient gas supplies next winter. The exact terms of the deal will be announced in the days ahead. Serbia says it's paying a third of what other European countries are paying for gas, and in winter it will represent 1/10 of what other countries are paying. Moscow owns a majority stake in Serbia's oil and gas company NIS. And finally, Tom Cruise's Top Gun Maverick pulled in blockbuster ticket sales in its opening weekend, collecting $134 million in North American cinemas. It's expected to collect $151 million by the end of today, defying expectations while also setting a new high water mark for Memorial Day opening weekends. It's the highest grossing debut in Cruise's 40-year career.
This is your captain speaking.
I'm Ramia Faraj. This is the Daily Brief. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.